You guys ready? Yeah. Sorry, I had to go back in the house, pick up a couple things real quick. Now listen, this trip, there's not gonna be any arguing. I'm telling you, no arguing. I will turn this bus around. Let's get going. Put your seatbelts on. Everybody buckle up. All right, now that you boys and girls are all settled down, we can get on the road. Seems like last time we went off together it was raining, didn't it? Well, today they're calling for a little bit of snow also. Later this afternoon they're calling for the temperatures to drop and rain mixed with snow here in North Carolina. We don't get much snow in North Carolina, and I'm glad for it. I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful to see, but I sure wouldn't want to live in it all the time. I wouldn't want it to be commonplace for my area. No sirree. Old Pete wouldn't like that at all. But as we get started out on this venture today, we're just going to take a short ride around the block. I'm going to be making a run looking for something in particular, and that's what we're going to be talking about, what we're going to be discussing. Let me get started here on the road, and we'll more road construction. Great. We'll talk. That's a whole different video. These roads around here, oh my God, that's a whole different video, whole different subject. And as we go through this little section right here, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Just this little quarter-mile stretch is being tore up for these housing developments to be put in. They haven't been fixed, which is supposed to be done after the development was put in. That development's been in there years. And then as we go further down, you'll see it's just one bump after another bump after another bump, but then it stops. It's just as smooth as glass, smooth as buttermilk. Oh man, you can just see how rough it is. Yeah, especially when there's a car coming in to get all the way over to the edge to get somewhat of a smooth ride. They're supposed to start paving it sometime this year, and I'll be glad when they do. And right here it gets smooth. Right there's the transition, you can see it. But as we ride off into the country, we're going to be discussing a few things, and I hope y'all don't mind. Turn that off, don't need it. I hope y'all don't mind. But, you know, you guys in the back, you might understand. Young person over here in the passenger seat, they might not understand. But there's one thing that I do that a lot of you don't know that I do. And it's happened before. I'll get hooked on it. I'll do it for a while. I'll stop for 10, 15 years, and then all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, start back up. What is that? Hot wheel collecting. Yes, I know some of you are going to think that old Pete's too old to be messing with Hot Wheels. Well, let's delve into that. Just Hot Wheels, for those of you that don't know, is come out in what, 1968, somewhere around there, 1969. I don't remember the exact date, but I was only like 3 years old when they first come out. But they came out and they was a big hit. Back then, the only thing you really had was Corgi, I think, and Matchbox. Well, anybody that knows anything about those know that they don't roll that good. Mattel, who makes Hot Wheels, at the time their main toy was Barbie. So they decided they wanted to come out with a new small miniature car, but they wanted them to roll really good. They wanted them to be unlike anything that was on the market at the time.
They're new. They're authentic. They're the fastest miniature metal cars you've ever seen. New Hot Wheels, only from Mattel.
So they did. They worked hard and they came out with the first series, which was called the Redline series, and today they are very, very expensive if you can find one for sale. And if you can find it for sale, they are very expensive. Very expensive. But that leads us, that's the beginning, and that leads us up to today. Well, today when you walk into a store and you see the pegs or the shelves or the little cardboard stands with all the Hot Wheels on it, those come in cases, okay? And in each case, you have a certain set of numbers of cars. Some of them come in 62, but generally they come in 72 to a case. Each case is lettered. That way, you know, if you're interested, you can see what case you're dealing with, because it's also marked on the back of the cars. But anyhow, long story short, you generally get mainline cars. That's the cars that are dime a dozen. There's millions of them, because let's face it, they produce a lot of Hot Wheels every year, and every month and a half they release a new case. But they have what's called the mainline. That's your base series. That's your standard colors, your standard stickers, or better known as tampos, T-A-M-P-O-S. That's their stickers or decals, and that's their basic line. Now, out of that line, they will pick a certain amount of cars that they want to make special. Now, in the general sense of things, these are called chase cars. The reason they're called chase cars is there's two popular thoughts. Everybody's chasing around town, chasing from store to store to try to find said car. Or the other train of thought is, once somebody learns that you have it, they're chasing after you, trying to get it from you. Of which I think the latter better describes it. But, and I'm sorry for the wipers, you just have to ignore them. But it's that time of year, wintertime. Here in North Carolina, it rains a lot. But what makes these particular cars so intriguing is they're labeled treasure hunts. And you know, it's a treasure when you find one. It's a needle in a haystack. It's a treasure when you find one. So that's the hint for, that's the name, that's the reason for the name of it. It's probably not the exact reason they came up with, but that's the way I look at it. There are special colors of the same car. They have different tampos of the same car. And in most cases, they have different wheels. Not always, but in most cases, they will have different wheels. And I'll be showing you through a few photos as we go through this. I'll be inserting them so you can see what I'm talking about. And the last time that I did this was probably, I don't know, 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, that's all they had. They had the main line and the treasure hunts. The treasure hunts were the sought after cars. Now they have something called a super treasure hunt. It's even harder to find than the regular treasure hunts. The regular treasure hunt will be, like I said, a certain color of, it will be a repaint of the mainline car, typically, or have different wheels with different tampos. But typically it's all three. It'll be a different color, a different tampo pattern, and different wheels. The super treasure hunts have what's called real rider tires on them. Now, going down the track, these are not track cars, these are collector cars. These super treasure hunts are for the adult collector, and I will explain about that here in just a minute. But they have what's called real rider tires. In other words, if you look at them, they look like real tires on the car. They've got tread patterns and everything on it. They look really cool, but they're not that fast compared to the regular Hot Wheels, okay? But they are a different paint altogether. Now let's take the one that I currently have. It's called the Dodge Challenger SRT Demon. The standard mainline is a yellow color with stickers adorned all over it. Particular one being Jegs, you know, it's really cool and all that. But it's yellow. I don't have the treasure hunt version. I don't even know if they make a treasure hunt version of this car. I don't think they do. But they do make a super treasure hunt. And I also have the super treasure hunt. It is a gold, kind of like a gold foil looking color. But it's a paint. It looks really cool. It's the card on it, the picture of the car on the card is darker. I mean, overall, it's just a very cool car. And it has, like I said, the real rider tires on it. Well, when I found that car, I also happened to find a variation of that car. And it doesn't have the Jag stickers or anything on it. It has different tampos or stickers, if you will. And it's a burgundy looking or a deep maroon red looking color. I don't know why them things are scraping like that. They're brand new. But I also have that, which is really cool. I mean, now I have a variation of a Super Treasure Hunt. I didn't even know they made such a thing, because like I said, I just recently got back into it. Whenever I go to town, if I see a Camaro, you know, my other channel being Camaro Time, I always pick up a Camaro because I really like them, or any other cool car. But that, you know, it really trips my trigger. But I recently got back into collecting, and I'm going to specialize in the Camaros if I keep doing it. I may just say heck with it and not do it anymore. You know, it's just one of those things. It's like an addiction. It comes and goes. And it's not very fun, addiction. But we'll get to that in just a second. And it's cool because whenever you go looking, and I've noticed that they do this more often now. Used to, a variation was very hard to find. In other words, same car, different color, same car, different wheels, same car, different tampos, you know, the window might be tinted a different color, what have you. And that made part of the hunt so fun. You know, you constantly was looking. And it's for lack of a better description, it's almost like a drug addiction, because you sit there, you look, you're addicted to looking. You know, you're working so hard to try to find a special car or a different car or what have you, and then you find it. Oh my God, you're so happy you found it. You go up to the register, you fork down your hard-earned money for it. You realize you just accomplished finding what you was looking for, you know, and then you get out to the car, you sit there and you look at it in astonishment of like, wow, look at this. I finally found one. I cannot believe it. And then it hits you. The realization settles in. Well, now that you've got that one, there's more of them out there. It might be at the next store. So let's go. But the only drawback to this is, you know, especially with the pandemic and everything going on, the money's tight for a lot of people. It really is. So what has happened, and it's been going on for a while, but now it's more prevalent. I've noticed it more. I've seen people doing it more. People that work in these stores are starting to get them. They're using their special access by being able to work there, and they will go back in the back or outside, wherever they have these cases stored, to where they have, you know, sole control of looking through them. They pick them out. They don't leave a couple. They will go through every single box, and anyone that they know about, they will pick it out and take it home. There's several people on Instagram that I've seen do it. There's several people on YouTube, and I know one person in particular. You know, I've told him I disgusted what he's doing, because it's like scalping. And as a matter of fact, that's what we actually call those people, is scalpers, because they're getting those for the sole purpose of selling them. They're not a collector or anything like that. They know that that car is hot. They know that they can take that car and sell it and make money. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, and I understand it, because like I said, times are hard, people need money. I get that, but come on, don't be greedy is my point of view of it. Leave one or two. Even if I'm not the one to find it, don't post the freaking pictures on social media of your buggy full of these special cars. It's not right, it's not fair. Now, if you do like everybody else and you hunt from store to store, making your rounds once a week or however you have it worked out that you do it, and you stumble across the same amount of cars, well, that's fine. That's the challenge of it. But I just don't think that it's right. What do you guys and gals think? Do you think it's right for somebody to have special access to go in and pick out every single one of the special cars and keep them for themselves just for resale? Everybody has opinions, you know. I have mine, you have yours. What is yours? I think it's wrong. I think that they need to leave a few. And like I said, I'll be posting some pictures on here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. You can see that they're in the flower section of Walmart during wintertime, where they keep all their cases stored in the garden center. went through all the boxes, and here's the photos of all these special cars in their buggy. Now right now you're asking yourself, why would I want to do this? What's the point? What's the interest? For me as a collector, most of it is the hunt. It really is. But with that said, I like collecting the cars. I like sitting there looking at them. No, I don't open them. No, I don't race them on a racetrack or nothing like that. I take them home. I look at them. I admire them. I think of what the one that I used to have as a kid, which will be part of another part of this video, so stay tuned. It's in this video you're listening to right now, but it's in another section. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. In other words, it's upcoming. But I'll sit there and I'll admire them, think about the ones I had when I was a kid and everything, and I will either hang them on whatever I have to hang them on, or put them in a drawer, you know. And then later on, what I'm a member to several forums and several websites and several channels on YouTube where people buy, collect, trade. For me, these special cars like the Dodge SRT Challenger Demon, I'm not really into that car. I like the car a lot, and if I wouldn't own a Camaro, that would be the car that I would own, a Challenger, but more likely a Hellcat. But whenever I see a car like that personally, or a treasure hunt, or something that I know is sought after, I will buy that car, and then I will post it on the forums, on the websites, and all those areas and whatnot for trade or for sale. I prefer to trade, but I will sell them. Now, what am I trading them for? What am I selling them for? To feed the addiction. In other words, if I find a car that I know is special, I'll tell you about this in just a second. I'm leaving this as a cliffhanger for you, the dollar amount, why it is fun to do and why it can be beneficial for you. I collect Camaros. That's my main thing. But if I see another car that I think is really cool, I'll pick it up, add it to the collection, and someday I might trade it or sell it, you know, if there's a want for that car. But I take them, I put them on the forums, I put them on the websites. I take them, I put them on the forums, I put them on the websites and all that stuff to trade. And I post on there what I'm looking to trade for, any Camaro of equal value. Doesn't matter if I have that car or not. People will post what they have, and I will work out a trade with them if they have something that I want. If not, if they're interested in buying it and they like the price that I put on there, they will agree to it, and the deal's done. Then I take that money and add to it, or save and wait until I get something else, or see another Camaro that I like and buy it. Sorry about that, received a text message. But here's what makes it actually worth doing. Some people will say it's not, some people will say it is, okay? And I also have an eBay account where I sell cars, okay? Where I sell Hot Wheels. And like I said, I'm constantly scouring those pages looking for something that I want. And the money that I get through selling on the websites, the forums, the eBay page, I'll turn around and I'll use that to buy special cars that I want, that I think is hard to find, or that I really want for my collection. I would really love one day to have the world's largest Camaro collection of Hot Wheels. I really would. I'd like to have the world's largest. Have the record for that. But, you know, that'd take a lot of help from all you guys and gals out there, finding them, scouring, send them to me, let me buy them, whatever. But anyhow, it would take a lot of work. Will I ever achieve that? Who knows? Is it something that I am really set out to do right now? No, not really. But it is something that I keep in the back of my mind. Now here's the kicker, the cliffhanger I was telling you about. Is it worth it? Well, let's look at it from this perspective, okay? You know, depending on how many stores you have around you, how close they are, what your time is worth, what your effort is worth, all that good stuff. It can be. There's several guys on YouTube and everything that make $3,000 a month doing this, and that's just off the Hot Wheels sales. That's not counting the many hundreds of thousands of followers they have, so you know they get paid good by YouTube also. But here's the deal: Walmart, Dollar Store, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, all those typically sell Hot Wheels on their racks for $1. Target, grocery stores, Walgreens, CVS, they typically sell anywhere from $1.09 to $1.29. The Gold Demon that I showed you earlier, that I found, cost me $1. Right now that car is currently going between $60 and $100, depending on where you sell it. I have mine listed so I can sell it overseas also, you know, international shipping. So I will typically fetch it a little bit more for that car than most people will just selling in the United States, because I offer it to other parts of the world that can't get it, or where it's even harder to find. Okay, but think about that for 1 minute. It's currently going for 60 to $100 for a car that I paid $1 for. Now if you just find one, you know, that's pretty cool. If that's all you're into, well, there's $60, you know, you just made for a few seconds of your time that you was already in the store picking up other stuff for. But if you're going to be serious about it, or be addicted about it, or try to do it like I'm doing it, in other words, find them to sell to make money for cars that I want to return around and re-stimulate the economy by putting it back in. In other words, I look at it like kind of like a business. My collection is a business. I buy cars to sell cars to buy cars. I'm constantly putting that money back in, but that allows me to buy the ones that I really want, because I'm out of work due to COVID, and I don't have money to just run around store to store to store and pick up this car and pick up that car to try to sell. I don't have it, so I have to use money that I make from selling cars to buy cars. And you know, that's what makes it fun. You know, Hot Wheels has been around a long time. People of all ages enjoy them for different reasons. They have a special club where you can buy, it's called the Red Line Club, and it is done by Hot Wheels or Mattel. It's done by them for the serious collector. In other words, the cars that you buy from Hot Wheels through the Red Line Collectors Club aren't going to be $1. Typically they start at anywhere from $9 and go up to a couple $100. But that's for the serious collector. I'm not that guy, you know. That's for the people that have to have everything. There's cars out there, believe it or not, and I'll try to remember to post it in the video, that if you can find one, you're looking at $3,500 to $4,000 for this car. Now just think, and it's a Camaro, believe it or not. Just think, if I had that in my collection, I could have an investment of $3,500, right? Resale value for a car that I paid, which this car back then would have been under $1, it would have been around 79 cents. Think about that. Yes, I would have had to have stored it, I would have had done this, I would have had done that, and I would have had to try to keep it in perfect shape and all that good stuff. But 69 cents for a car that will end up being $3,500 to $4,000. Yes, we're talking about 40 years later, but what toy do you know of that 40 years later has that kind of return value on your initial investment, right? It's absolutely crazy. And that brings us up to this section of the video. I don't want this video to be just about Hot Wheels. You know, it's like anything when you grow up. When you get older, you're like, dang, if I would have had the one, you know, if I'd have had this now, I could have some money in my hand. And it's true. But you never know as a child, number one, what's going to be worth anything when you get older. You're not thinking about that. You're thinking about playtime. Let's grab this toy or that toy and play with it, right? But it brings up a lot, you know, a lot of fond memories when I go out looking, or when I sit in my room thinking about the car that I just purchased, or what have you. The toys that old Pete had when he was a kid, if he still had them now. And some of them have actually come back in to their own. They've remade them. Some of them have never left, like Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels has been in steady production since 1968. They've never stopped, they've never slowed. That's a lot of cars, boys and girls. A lot of cars, trucks, motorcycles, you name it. But I'm going to stop in here at McDonald's real quick and pick me up a snack, because as I've been riding and talking, I've gotten kind of hungry. So hold on 1 minute and I'll be right back. Matter of fact, we might just talk through this line while we sit here. Look at that big boy. But I gotta drive all the way around the building to get in that line. Well, that's, you know, just what toys did you have as a kid that you was really fond of? What brings back or invokes memories in your childhood? Like I said, I remember throughout my life, I've loved Hot Wheels. I've always looked at Hot Wheels. I'm that guy that will bring in a buggy at Walmart, because they always have a huge bin where they just dump them in the bin, and I will take every single car out of that bin, put in the cart, trying to find that variation or that special car. Now I know that likely at Walmart I'm never going to find a special car. That's going to be at some store way out in the middle of nowhere where I will find that. But with that said, but I remember the craziest thing, and they've actually brought it back. You could pull on it, you could step on it. It was pretty much indestructible. And what am I talking about? Stretch Armstrong.
Help! We've been robbed!
Stop! Stop, evildoers!
Introducing super stretching superhero Stretch Armstrong. Yes, Stretch Armstrong, now stretching fun farther than ever before. He bends, he stretches, even ties and knots, but always returns to his original shape.
How does he do that?
He's been doing that since he was a kid. Stretch Armstrong from Cap Toys. Who else?
How many of you ever seen Stretch Armstrong? How many of you had it? And it's pretty cool. It kind of looks like He-Man, you know, all muscular and everything, but you can stretch this thing. You can grab his head, his arms, his legs, and this joker is pretty much indestructible. You can stretch it, you can have somebody else pull on it, and it will stretch way out of what his wingspan might be 10 inches, but once you stretch it out, you might have 3-foot wingspan or leg span. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy at what this thing can do and what it looks like when you get done with it. He's totally deformed, but after sitting there for a couple minutes, this joker will shrink back down. He will go back to his regular size, and you will never know that he was stretched or bent out of shape. Really cool. I remember Toss and Cross. It's a tic-tac game, and it got little bean bags, and what you do is, you have X's and O's, of course. You take the bean bag and you throw it on the Toss and Cross and try to get tic-tac-toe with it. Sorry, I had a brain fart. Which, is kind of hard because you're sitting here tossing something from a couple feet away. But that, that brings you up to the new cornhole game. But anyhow, as you take the beanbag and throw it, it will land on this pyramid-shaped piece of plastic that has 3 sides to it. And it will flip it over to where you'll get an X or an O. But there's just so many great, wonderful memories from the games and toys that we had. Of course, I was into bicycles. Every year, my parents would get me the latest, greatest bicycle. And a couple of them actually got stolen. I had this one bicycle. It was a Huffy 5-speed. Had the gear shifter on the main brace going between your legs. And I love that bicycle. My dad bought it. And the place where we used to buy it, we didn't have a Lionel or Toys R Us or anything like that. When I was growing up, stuff like the bicycles had to be bought at the local Goodyear store. Uptown Charlotte, North Carolina. Goodyear store, my dad would go in there and buy me the latest, greatest bicycle. You know, I just remember those days. It brings back so many thoughts. So much fun. But I had that bicycle probably 3 days, maybe 4 days, and somebody stole it. And I was so pissed. I was mad. Oh my God. Look at this mess. Nobody knows how to drive, and we ain't even on one of those roundabouts. Good God. Whoever designed this thing is just totally crazy. We're gonna go out this way. Try not to get hit. But we're gonna have another video on these crazy roads, the roundabouts, the double roundabouts, the triple roundabouts, the no left turns, the U-turns. These roads are so crazy. But anyhow, that's an upcoming video. But we're almost back home now. You know, I had to run an errand is what I'm trying to say, and old Pete thought he would just get out there and talk to you for a bit, you know, while we're all riding around together. Hope I didn't bounce you around too much or anything, but anyways, you know, the toys of our childhood. What special ones did you have? What special ones do you remember? Or, you know, is special to you is what I'm trying to say. I've had a bunch, you know, the old Lincoln Logs, Silly Putty. Silly Putty is just that, silly. Whoever come up with that was a genius, because think about it. They give you this little gob of stuff that's in a plastic container that's shaped like an egg. You take it, you mush it up in your hand, you know, you roll it around, you can make any shape you want to with it. And then you can take it and you can lay it over, say, like a coin. Pull the coin out of it, and then you have the impression of the coin. Or you could take it and you could roll it over a comic strip in a newspaper. Yeah, I know, what's a newspaper? That's a whole different story. But you could roll it over the comic strip in a newspaper and pick it up off the newspaper, and all of a sudden there's your favorite scene from the comic strip on the Silly Putty in color. I mean, it was the greatest thing, but when you look back at it, it's just plain silly. What could you really do with it?
What molds into silly animals and silly shapes?
Silly Putty.
What bounces like a ball?
Silly Putty.
What stretches and stretches?
Silly Putty.
What picks up pictures from a newspaper and makes them silly? And if you stretch it, even sillier.
Silly Putty.
Are you sure Silly Putty can do all those things?
Yes, Silly Putty is fun.
Silly Putty comes in a shell shaped like an egg. Nothing else is Silly Putty.
I mean, really, that's basically the only 3 things Silly Putty is good for. And lo and behold, somebody in marketing geniusry brought it back. Yes, they still have Silly Putty. But that's just one of the toys that I remember. And then you had Play-Doh. Play-Doh is pretty much along the same lines. You know, they got all these little toys that you can sit there and buy for all these little molds, and you can take yellow Play-Doh and press it and make it look like a waffle, and they even have little ovens you can put it in and run it through like you're making pizzas and all that stuff, you know. Just something to keep the child's mind busy, you know. You know, today, children, young ladies still have their dolls and stuff. And, you know, young boys still do the Hot Wheels and stuff like that. But today, they're into their video games and their phones that their parents get them. And my parents would have had a fit if I'd have asked for a phone at 5 years old. What in the heck do you need a phone for? But that's the way of the world. That's the way it's changed. But it's coming back around is what I'm saying. You're sitting there and you're getting the old toys we used to have as a kid new again. Great times, great times. It brings back so many memories. And it was so much fun. But, you know, long story short, we won't harp on this all day, but that's the point of this video as we ride around. You know, our use, our toys as use. You know, some of them actually have value if we still had them. And believe this or not, when I was young, I always tried to get my parents to buy me, like Hot Wheels, I always tried to get them to buy me 2 if I really liked them. And the reason for it was I had this funny feeling that I didn't want to open it. I wanted to keep it in its pack. I wanted to keep it looking like new. But I did want to open it. I wanted to play with it. I wanted to run it on my racetrack. That's what they're made for, you know? So I had a funny feeling at a very early age that I wanted 2 of them if I really liked them. Now, am I saying that I would have actually saved all those? No, by no means. I still have a few that I have saved over the years, not from my childhood. But I'll get that inkling. I'll want to do it, and I'll do it for a couple years. Then I'll turn around and sell them, and I'll make a profit. I've never lost money. I'll make a profit. Stay away from it 10, 15 years, come back. I'll just get that urge. And it's like any other toy. When I'm out going to these antique stores and malls and stuff like that, I'll always go through that toy section, seeing what's out there new. And it's like, wow, they're making that again? That is so cool. And yep, I will be standing there looking through those Hot Wheels, every single one of them. My wife has learned to keep me away from any store that has Hot Wheels. But we're back home, and I'm going to end this video, but post below, what toys did you really like when you was a kid? What toy have they brought back that you can't believe that they brought back? And until next time, we'll see you on the next ride, the next venture, the next journey. Thanks for watching.